talk about social engineering, the whys, hows, whos, ins and outs, fronts and backs. You know, so
the ins and outs of everything.
Ins and outs of everything. I mean, I was watching a video the other day on YouTube, and it's like literally it was all about social engineering and the fact that it's a part of everything: physical security, cyber security. You know, social engineering is part of all of it, and there's research done into it that we learn to social engineer as kids to try and manipulate our parents. Social engineer our parents. It's like, you know, I'll be really good to get, you know, it's all a part of social engineering. People don't actually realise it.
The twins, they do it all the time. One person will distract while the other does what they need to do.
Yep, kids are pain in the asses when it comes to social engineering.
Yeah, they don't have to push the buttons. They know how to get what they want.
Yep, the youngest at one stage, she was always, you know, if I was eating something, she goes, I really like that. That's my favourite. I'm like, here you go. Now bugger off.
Yeah.
But anyway, so social engineering of the whys, the hows, the whats to look for, and all that stuff. So teaching security and security guards, which is one of the ones that people go after the social engineer. If they don't go after the security guards because they have access to everything, it'll be maintenance or anyone who holds some authority in a building. Why do you think people would go after security guards more than, you know, just the normal employee?
Because security have access to everywhere. If you get security credentials, nobody's going to be questioning why security is swiping in a particular place at 2 o'clock in the morning. Our role is to check everywhere and make sure that everything is safe and secure. And it's the easiest way to be able to just go in there and go, okay, well, I need in this room at 2 a.m. in the morning. Let's go in there. Security have full access to everywhere. There's no issues on getting caught. And being a security guard myself, I can't get done for impersonating a security guard. So it's even easier. I can just get a guard credential, swipe in, and I know the lingo, I know the way they do their patrols, all that sort of stuff. I know the ins and outs.
But even that, like, you know, saying, you know, manipulating or impersonating a security guard, here in Australia, the laws are a little bit different to America and stuff like that when it comes to impersonating. But, I mean, just stealing credentials for a security guard and swiping in as them, you know, is going to be more under, you know, what's the word for it? More, you know, it's not going to be looked at compared to, you know, why is Joe Blow from level 2 swiping in at this time of night? But even still, like, the credentials isn't impersonating. It's just easy to get through.
Well, but the thing is, though, there's nothing stopping me as a guard by putting on a uniform or even just basic black uniform with security written on it, walking into a building. Who's going to question someone's got to hide his vest onto security with a security lanyard and security ID hanging off that lanyard?
Yep.
Who's going to question? No one.
Yep, it's the same. It'd be the same as me dressing up with a hard hat and a high vis shirt or vest just to walk through the work site or anything like that. No one's really going to question it. You know, and I'm not impersonating anyone.
And that's the thing, like, it's one of those things that if you can look like you fit in, no one's going to question you.
Look like you're meant to be there, sound like you know what you're doing, and, you know, if you get caught, lie through your teeth.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I know what the process is, I know what they have to do, so I can get around a lot easier. I had an issue one day when I was still in repossession. I had to get into a building. It was a child car park. I tailgated in the main gate. Car went in, looked in behind it. was wandering around for about 25 minutes with a particular car that I was on. And security approached me. He goes, mate, what are you doing? So I'm just looking for a vehicle. He goes, you know you're not supposed to be here. It's like, yeah, I get that. So I followed him towards the elevator where he come from. Just started having a chat with him about what he's done and what he thought of his job, and just said, hey, look, I work security as well. What's this company like to work for? And started to build up a bit of rapport, a bit of trust with this guy. And by the time we got back to the ground level where his concierge desk was, I built up enough rapport with him to be able to go, well, hey, look, if you see this vehicle, can you at least let me know? Or here's my contact details. He goes, I'll do you one better. He goes, come back at about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and come and see me at the front desk. He goes, I'll take you where the car is.
Social engineering, it works. And that's
it. It does. And it's all about, like, when I teach my security, you've got about 30 seconds to build up rapport with somebody. And it's always those first impressions that are always the best. So if you can build up that relationship with somebody within that 30 seconds to where they trust you, your job's done.
Yeah. And I mean, it's such an integral part of physical entry, like non-destructive entry, is social engineering. People don't realise how much of a role it plays in any form. I mean, you know, what was it? It's a TV show, Burn Notice, and he's like, you know, breaking into a building, into a guy's house. He's like, you know, nothing looks more sus than walking around with a balaclava on and stuff like that. He's like, I'd like to go to the fridge, you know, grab a water, grab a yogurt, you know, and if someone catches you, he's like, lie through your teeth, pretend you're drunk, you're in the wrong house, you know, apologise for stealing the yogurt and leave. He's like, you know, it's a part of really social engineering. It is such an integral part of anything, even cyber. You can gain access to a building through cyber and through social engineering. And that's the thing, you know, like, it's just such an important part that gets overlooked quite often. People focus more on, you know, the bypassing of locks and the stealing of credentials. And I mean, sometimes stealing credentials is you have to use social engineering. But they focus on all that stuff and they forget about the fundamentals of social engineering.
The thing is you can't teach social engineering something that has to be learned from the time. It's not so you can watch as many videos or go as many I can't think of it now. Go to as many meetings and that you like, or and that sort of stuff. Unless you physically get out there and do it, you're not going to know how well you can. You're not going to really need to improve.
That's the thing. I practice it at work. I mean, I have to learn social engineering in a way, or aspects of it, with looking after residents. You know, I have to pretend to, you know, go, you know, to be somebody. I have to pretend to be, if they've got dementia, they think I'm someone I'm not. I have to, you know, play that role. You have to pretend to, you know, hear the same story 1,000 times, to pretend like it's the first time you heard it. You're like, oh yeah. You know, like, it just drives you bonkers. But it's all a part of social engineering. And that's a good way to learn, is actually just going out, interacting with people and practicing it. You know, try it on your neighbour. Try to social engineer something out of them. You know, it's just so important, and that's why I thought we'd cover it in this video. You know, like, why we would use social engineering, how we would use it, who would we attack with it, you know, how much is it used. You know, like, it's not just security guards and stuff like that. I mean, we're going to want to discuss about cyber, phishing emails and stuff like that. It's all a part of social engineering. And it's just a very interesting topic that is so important and the groundwork for a lot of other things. You know, like...
social If you can get or manipulate someone to do something difficult to do, your job's so much easier. Especially if you can order to plug a USB in. Offer them $500 to plug it in. You show me someone nowadays that doesn't want to spend $500.
Yep. Exactly. Cost of a nice dinner. You know, you can get access to a lot of things. That's why I was testing people at work the other week, and I said to them, you know, like, if you saw a USB on the ground, would you pick it up, plug it in your computer? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what if I gave you $300 to plug it in your computer? Would you? Some of them said no. Some of them said, oh yeah. You know, that's part of social engineering. I was getting information off people just by asking the questions. They didn't realise I was getting information off. You know, and if I really wanted to be evil, I could just ask one of them to plug a USB in. But, I mean, yeah, we covered, you know, kind of who would attack with security guards, maintenance, anyone who has a higher clearance to go through the building. The question is, why would we use them? Why would we use social engineering?
I've even social engineered a lady at a reception desk. Another repossession went to the place of work to try and catch up with the customer because they were refusing to speak to us at the house. So we call for next step was to go to, and I actually put on the waterworks and told the lady that I've got a young family, I need to get this job done because I need the money, and went to the point of tearing up and played on her motherly emotions, and she ended up after about 20 minutes saying to me that when the member was coming to work, it was wife access to get into those places, and I met the lady around the side of the building when the customer ran into the customer, got access to the building, and the receptionist was really pissed off because she realised that I played her for a fool. Yeah, what I wanted.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who it is. You can always socially engineer someone for something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I was saying. You know, like, why would we do it? Well, it could be for gaining access to a building, for pen testing. It could be to find out information. It could be for good or bad points. As you're saying, you can social engineer for repossessions. You know, why would you do it? Well, it's a good way of getting information on a target. It is a good way of building up, as you said, a rapport with people, to find out, you know, who's coming and when, to find out routines. And as I was saying earlier, it is the groundwork for a lot of other stuff. You know, it's no good breaking into a building if, you know, you don't look like you belong there, or, you know, it's going to look more sus. So you got to social engineer your way in. It's like, oh, you know, I'm meant to be here. You know, look, I've got a name badge that looks like yours, and, you know, I've got a hard hat and a high-vis shirt on. But really, just to cover why you would use it is for a lot of reasons. Good and bad.
I just think there's only so much information out on the internet. Some people are really digital and they don't put a lot of stuff on social media. The best way about it is interacting with someone that they every single day. Whether that the maintenance guy at their local building. It's if you want information or get access to places that you shouldn't be. Dumpster diving is a good way of getting information out of people. Like, a lot of people just throw the stuff out without shredding it or disposing of it. How are you going to get access to that rubbish? The maintenance man.
Yep.
Just chuck it out the back.
Yep. That's the thing. It is a lot of ways and reasons why social engineer. But at its core, it's literally just to find out or information or gain access. Or get something. At the end of the day, it's just to get something. Social engineering is to get a specific thing.
People, it's as simple as that. It is people hacking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just that whole aspect of breaking. Hacking is usually something people have getting information or getting something that they're generally not going to give to you.
It is. It's just people hacking to get something. What's one of the things that you actually teach your security guards that you train to look out for when it comes to social engineering? Do you actually train them to look out for somebody who's showing an extra, more interest than they should? Do you get them to question everything they see? It looks like he's meant to be here, but, he's wearing a blue lanyard, but it's slightly different to the others. What's going on here? Is this the kind of stuff you teach them, or do you just say to them, just think, twice before you answer something?
It's really important. Since I trained Gus about 8 years ago, we have to prove or a threat until we prove otherwise, because everybody's not who you expect them to be. Look at us. The average Joe blows. But with a lot of the terrorist stuff that we deal with, looking at things that aren't normal or aren't what they see every day should be an alarm bell. I always tell them to go with gut instinct. We do a lot of scenario-based training, and a lot of things that I get feedback from with the scenarios is, I should have done this. And I go, well, why didn't you? And they go, I don't know. I said, well, you need to go with that gut instinct. That's 90% of the time, or 95% of the time, is going to be right. If you think something's not right because somebody's wearing a thicker jacket in the middle of summer, or they may be hanging around asking specific questions. Like, so what time does the building shut? What time does security change shifts? Or what's involved with getting your license? And sometimes these are just normal questions that people are wanting to get. They might be generally wanting to know how to become a security guard, but look at their body language. Are they portraying something like they're saying one thing and their body's saying something else? 70% of our communication is non-verbal communication. So it's communication through body language. A lot of times you'll be able to identify whether or not people are actually lying to you before they actually start talking to you. And we go through a lot of the signs and symptoms of what the body's going to portray when it's under stress, like sweating, fidgeting. What else?
There's a good book. There's a good book I read. I'm still reading. I keep going back and reading it again, bits and pieces to drum it in. Called "You Can't Lie to Me." It's by Janine Driver. And she talks about that and how, your body's reactions are, quicker than the words. And she says, look for the body language that doesn't match the words. A shrug which shows, uncertainty, and, it's not the whole, lying, they touch their nose and stuff because they're lying. She's like, that's all BS and stuff like that. But, it's actually interesting to read and to learn this stuff comes into, as you were saying, learning what signs to look out for. Is the person got their hat pulled down lower than average people would, blocking their face from cameras? Are they, shying away from the cameras more than others?
Directly looking at security, are they walking the opposite way when security come up to them? Are they looking down instead of looking directly at the security guard as they walk past? Some of these have been misunderstood as well. So looking down at people who walk past can be an intimidation thing. not just necessarily, I don't want you to look at me because I'm doing the wrong thing. But these are things like Kevin Mitnick's got a really good social engineering book out that's well worth a read as well. Kevin Mitnick was one of the biggest guys to use social engineering on.
But do you also teach them about the cyber side of social engineering to look out for phishing emails and stuff like that? Do you teach the security guards that side of things, or is it just the physical side of social engineering?
So we touched a little bit on when we deal with the law in relation to the Privacy Act and what information. So things like phone calls, for example, is a really good one we do a lot with is what information should you be giving out over the phone about my work colleagues or clients? Why would people want to know? We teach them a lot to, if they do have someone that has an inquiry, don't tell them whether that person's busy or they're not in today. Just say, hey, they're unavailable at the moment. Can I grab your details and I'll pass it on to that person and get them to give them a call?
Kind of reminds me of that movie Hackers. That's what. But the security guard that he was on the phone to didn't understand. It's just like, oh yeah, no problems, and reads out the number to access the computer. But I actually just sent you the video the other night of the emails that I get. So I get phishing emails quite a lot, running the business and stuff like that. And I think it was one I sent you the video of where it was like, there's been a error with processing your payment or something like that. And I always check to see where the email comes from. And the list of people who it was to was like, I just scrolled for bloody ages, scrolling through, and all these email addresses were on there, which I think would be a good one to put on the slideshow, say to people, and that's what I even said it to Dana, and I've been telling other people. Social engineering with emails and phishing emails is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, social engineering acts that's going on right at the moment. Phishing emails, they're everywhere. And, you might get an email from, Bank of Ballarat or whatever, at gmail.com. Most businesses will actually run a business email, like, except for me, I run at gmail.com, but I've had that email for so long, everyone knows it. But, like most businesses would run, like at dalp.com.au. Not, name at Gmail, or the Gmail account doesn't match what they're claiming, and stuff like that. And it's such a big one because so many people fall for phishing emails that it's not funny.
Yeah, definitely. And they're getting bigger and bigger as well. So people are getting more and more smarter. So they're even going to the stage now where they're cloning like logins from banks and all that sort of stuff to a very similar email domain name. So it could be anz.com.au. That's your normal domain name. It could be one dot or www.1.anz.com.au. So it's extremely similar. So people just look at it and go, oh, okay, let's click this link. And it pops up with a identical copy of the login from the bank. But yeah, it's a phishing email that's been designed to tell their credentials in. And then do an automatic redirect to the real bank after they've collected the information. People go, I've just put my details in and do again. They go, oh, okay, put it again. And then naturally log in.
Yeah, I know there was one, Netflix is a big one, but the E has the little line above it, like the French E kind of thing. And most people just go, oh, Netflix, and it's like, oh, your account has expired, please put in your card details to reactivate. People think just read, oh, Netflix, and it's like, oh, wait up. There's these little signs and stuff. Phishing emails I was reading was like the biggest one at the moment for social engineering. And it's not just, I got one, I didn't order this, can we please sort it out? My favourite ones is the whole, I am Sir blah 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 of, Dumbsville. I got left this inheritance of $2 billion. Russian dollars, whatever it is. I would like to invest in a business in your country. And some of them are just so bad that it's like, your country, and it's got in brackets of choice, kind of thing, like, it is so bad. But older people, the older generation would go, oh, okay, kind of thing. And it's like, as they always say, businesses, banks, and that, they're always like, we would never email you to get your information. We'd never call you to get information, kind of thing. I'll send you text messages, is another one. So yeah, the cyber side of social engineering is such a big one as well, because it's since the pandemic, is the one I was watching yesterday, on our favourite hacking guys channel.
Yep.
They were saying, like, since the pandemic and everyone having to isolate and lockdowns and stuff like that, phishing emails have increased. The social engineering side of that has increased dramatically, because people are at home. And the people that are social engineering are playing on that whole, people are depressed because they can't go and visit family, they can't see friends. So they're going to connect to someone who contacts them. And that was what they were talking about on there. It's saying it's not fair. One of the tests that she was doing with her students is, they have to go out and get a selfie with with people out in the street with a rubber chicken in it. Social engineer their way into getting the selfie and stuff like that to practice, and it's something outrageous. Why would you want to get a selfie with a bloody rubber chicken? But it's the whole practice of social engineering and how it can be used, and people were actually falling for it, going, oh yeah, no problems, take a selfie with a rubber chicken. But yeah, it's phishing emails is, I think, is the funniest one at the moment because of how many I'm getting. And how bad some of them really are. That's why I'm like, screenshot them and send them to you. And I'm like, that's a funny one, screenshot, send.
Even looking at things like hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is another thing that I teach. I know big words.
Yeah.
Neurological linguistic programming.
Human hacking.
It's understanding how the subconscious listens and processes things that you're doing. Marketing is a big thing. Is how can that large company market to somebody, to the subliminal mind, and get someone to buy a product? Same with social engineering, knowing and understanding how the brain processes that communication, how body language says one thing and you're saying something different.
Yeah, it's like the art of communicating in a way that you want people, it's certain ways you phrase things to convert, like to, manipulate people. For example, like, one I was reading, so, you go up to your neighbour, it's like, oh, would you be free, to come and help me do blah, blah, blah. And you left them open to say no. Where they're like, if you go up and say, oh, you're not doing anything, do you want to come and give me a hand? And they're like, okay. Like, if you give them the choice of like leaving them open for a no. Conversational hypnosis, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. But not allowing them to have a choice by not having open-ended questions.
Well, you still give them a choice, but they still feel like they're getting a choice, but really they're not.
And that's where it comes back to that emotion as well. Like, people want to help. It's human nature to help.
Like, people don't want a confrontation, like we were discussing in the live stream.
As I said with that lady that I engineered by cheering up, I played on her motherly emotions. I've got a young family. I need to feed them. I need this job so I can get paid. It's something that I knew would hit home to her.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Do I feel bad about it? Hell no. I did what I had to do to get the job done.
Yeah. Well, how much do you reckon that social engineering is actually used out of, for everything that we look at and what we teach people about?
So how much would I use it for, or how much would somebody else use it for?
Well, how much it's actually used all up. For us with our work, whether it be aged care or the pen testing, we actually, when we teach people about the presentations and stuff, we teach people about social engineering. But how much do you think it's actually used every day by normal people?
Businesses do it all the time in the way of marketing. Marketing is a big way with social engineering. Getting people to buy things. What they say, don't go to a supermarket
when you're hungry.
You see the lunch things on, because you're going to see something, you're going to get hungry and buy stuff that you're not supposed to buy or weren't there to buy.
Or go into Bunnings and just going to Bunnings. Everyone knows once you go to Bunnings, you spend way more than you meant to. Or Kmart. Whereas I'm going to go in and get one thing, and you walk out with $600 in the shopping trolley.
And that's the thing. Like, it's social engineering in one form or another is used every single day by everybody.
Yeah.
Whether it's the kids at home, social engineering the parents to get a lolly or play that computer game a bit longer or stay up a little bit later, whether that's playing one parent against the other, whether that's getting someone wanting something brought at a shop. You see it all the time. You go out to shops and they try upselling. So would you like fries with that? Or would you like a large meal instead of a medium?
Buy two for $8, kind of thing.
And it's still $4, and it's still $4 each anyway.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Really, when you look at social engineering, it is used all day, every day by everyone. And we have just become so compliant and so complacent with it that, we sometimes don't see people that are using it for bad. Because we're just so used to it. It's like anything, really, that, you do every single day. If you do it every single day, you just get so used to it that you sometimes don't see if someone's using it for bad. And stuff like that. And I think that's the downside is, it's so hard, as you're saying, to teach people about social engineering. It's something they've got to learn. But it's so hard sometimes to see who's using it for bad. I mean, you can have a normal conversation with someone about, everyday stuff, but also slip little bits in to try and, just coax them into saying a little bit more than what they really should.
So I do that with my training, and it's really interesting because I sort of integrate it with situational awareness as well. So being aware of your surroundings, what's going on there. But I actually do when it comes time for the guys to do their assessments. So I set up trigger words that I consistently use throughout the program for when it comes time for them to do their law assessment. I will, throughout the entirety of the course, start slowly introducing specific wording. So things like arrest. So why do we arrest? When do we arrest? And set these triggers. And people go, how am I going to learn all this? This is too much. And doing it through the way of pop quizzes, with those trigger words, I find I'm getting a higher success rate than what I was when I wasn't using trigger words. Because they're seeing those on the questions when they do their assessment, and they already know what the answer is. So it's that type of using the subconscious to get them to learn and understand the information they need. And a lot of the students say at the end of the course, or even during the course, is, I didn't think I was ever going to remember that. And they'll get to doing the assessment and go, I know this. And I've had so many comments after that last day where students have said, I didn't think it was going to be that easy.
Mm.
And it's just the way that I've used that social engineering to set up trigger words and use those trigger words throughout the entirety of the training. So it's just reinforcing it.
But that's using social engineering for good. And that's the thing where it's conversational hypnosis. It is body language manipulation. It is emotional manipulation. It's just so many things all wrapped into one. It's a lot to get your head around. Even watching the video I was watching yesterday on it, she was discussing so many aspects of social engineering and how it's all used that it's too much to wrap your bloody head around. At the end of it, I just went, it's everything. Like, at the end of the day, that's it. It's everything. I'm just like, right, whatever I do, if I'm walking down the street, I'm bloody social engineering. If I'm talking to someone, I'm social engineering. But that's the thing. Social engineering is going to increase in attacks that they use it in. Like, the more that we get, the more technology increases and improves, the more social engineering that's going to improve. It's going to be a lot easier for them to convince us to give out our passwords. It's going to be easier for them to convince us to accidentally give over our bank account details, because there's so many different streaming options now. You got for example, Netflix, Binge, and you get so many emails. Who is going to pick up on, them accidentally putting, a dot like b.ing, and then you go, oh shit, I've got Binge, it's it's due. All right, put my bank details in. And even some of the most important people in the world have been bloody phished like that. Bank managers and bank workers, they've been phished. From simple little things that they should pick up on, but we've just become so compliant with everything that we see and we accept it that we just automatically go, okay, yep, no problems.
And looking at that training aspect of it, of making people aware, having training programs in your business or workplace to help those staff members identify when they are being phished. And it's one of those things that you do see people starting to introduce it a lot more, but the staff themselves are the ones that need to stop clicking on emails or images and that sort of stuff. And there's only so much that IT can actually do to minimise that impact. There's still emails now that get through to staff inboxes.
Yeah. Oh, even phone calls. Even phone calls, like at work. There's we got an email sent around at work that just to be wary that some people or someone or some hacking group, because they couldn't access the systems remotely or anything, they were calling up pretending to be IT and struggling to access the system that we use to log all the information on about residents, and stuff like that. They actually got to the point where they're calling up and pretending to be somebody from IT. I mean, let's say you work for, the company DALP. That there's an IT guy in there called Daryl. So you and you got an employee called Bob that you're trying to, access the security through. You've done your research, you've done your groundwork through a little bit of social engineering. So then you call up, you're like, oh yeah, no, it's me, Daryl. Like I'm just here trying to get hold of. I can't log into the back end of, I think, what's the password again? What's your password? All right, that's why you haven't. It's so easy that they're actually getting to that point now where they're calling up and pretending.
Well, that's another good example too. Is with COVID and everything that we've had going through, people working from home, a lot of businesses are putting on a lot more IT staff to deal with a lot of the people who are working from home having trouble getting connections through their VPNs, having trouble getting into their work networks. And that just opens up another whole attack vector for scammers to be able to infiltrate into those businesses, because they can ring up and go, oh yes, we're a third party, we've been employed by the company to keep up with demand. We see that this ticket comes through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you another email with a link to reset your password, and send them through doing those types of things, or go, oh, what do you need to give me for this login? This is what I've got on file. I don't think it's quite right. Can you just confirm whether this is your current password? All that sort of stuff. So it's a lot easier.
Yeah. But thanks to COVID, we've got more evil social engineering vectors that can be, attacked. More people, as you say, more people are working from home, so they don't have the one-on-one interaction with. They normally have a problem with the computer. They call up the number for IT that's actually in the building. They come and fix the computers for them. Whereas working from home, there's a greater distance. They're not having that facial contact with people, which is opening up easier forms of social engineering. It's a lot easier to social engineer somebody over a phone, and pretend to be, like, oh, I work for this company, as you're saying, doing this. It's a little bit easier to social engineer over a phone call than it is face to face, because you don't have to, make your body language match what you're saying to the people. It's easier to lie over a phone than what it is in person. It's easy to throw a sickie. Great form of social engineering. Convincing your boss that you're sick so you don't have to go into work. Really, you just want to go down the beach and have some fun. It's easier to pretend you're sick over the phone and try to do it in face, like face to face. It's easy to go, it feels terrible. It's then, trying to do that in person, be like, oh, I feel terrible. And they're like, you look freaking fine. There's nothing wrong with you. Although people now, bosses I've noticed, and staff, like superior staff, have got so compliant with people calling up sick that you just call up and you go, I'm not feeling well, I'm not coming in. They go, all right, no problems. That's the thing. They're all got to that now. It's it's freaking annoying, especially at work, because it leaves us short staffed all the time. And who's this messaging? It's right, it's Instagram. I'm on so many bloody social media things at the moment, it's not funny. But, yeah. What other sides of social engineering do you want to cover? I'm going to cut and paste bits and pieces to this together, so.
I think we've covered most of it. It's generally that physical, trying to get into places that people really struggle with. That's where a lot of that sort of the rest of the stuff stems from. Is we start with getting in that front door, whether that's reception, security, maintenance, out in the smoking yard.
As we were saying earlier, like hard hat and high vis vest. How many work buildings and places can you get into wearing that? Because we see people with high vis everywhere.
Yep. A clipboard with a work order on it that you found off the internet, with the name of the person that you found. And that's the other thing too, is to have a good social engineering plan, you need to do the research. You need to know who works at that company. You need contact details that work at that company. You need to know who's in charge, email addresses, phone numbers.
If you're trying to impersonate a staff member, you need to try and match right down to lanyards that they use, the colour and style of lanyards they use, types of shoes they wear. It's no good trying to mimic a bloody council worker or, working on a building lot, wearing, high vis, hard hat, and walking through in high heels. It's just not going to work. You need to be able to match everything that they wear. Close, if not perfect, close enough that people will just not look.
And that comes back to social media as well. Like people putting shit up on social media, taking selfies at work with their computer screens wide open, putting usernames and passwords on sticky notes attached to their screen, or leaving their keys or credentials or work IDs sitting on tables and taking selfies and putting them up on social media.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look for this person that works here, because, you know, you've got on the Facebook and you've seen somebody that's wearing, they're taking a photo and they're wearing a shirt with their business logo on it.
Yep.
So you know which business they work for, and you can be like, oh yeah, I'm looking for this person. You know, like, oh, you know, I've got a warrant out for their arrest or some shit. You know, like, it's, yeah, just groundwork to do, social engineering to do groundwork to get information on people, but you also need to get information on people to be able to social engineer.
Definitely. So a really good way of doing that, and this is something we teach our guards as well, is visitor logbooks when we're signing visitors in and out. Next time you go past a place where you've got to sign in, have a look where the register is. It's usually sitting on a bench in public view so people can walk in and sign in. What information does it have on the sign in? It's usually got their name, the business they work for, contact phone number, the time on site, time off site,
Yep.
Any credentials that are required by them, whether it's specific licensing. We've got that. We can then go to that company's website and go, okay, well, we know that this particular business uses this electrician to do all their electrical work. So we can then come back with credentials from that company, go and download their logo from their website, go and have a look and see who owns the business website, get contact phone numbers and all that from the website, create all the documents that you need to get in.
Yeah, I was watching that movie, The Hitman last night. It's off the game. And, you know, same thing. He walks into a restaurant and has a look at the booking book, because usually, you know, they got a little desk at the front, you know, the higher end restaurants, and they have a little book with the names and the times they're going to be there. So if you want to, you know, social engineer somebody or get close enough to, you know, sniff credentials or something like that, like in the form of social engineering, you know, you can walk into the restaurant and look and be like, oh, they're booked in at 8 o'clock for dinner. It's like, all right, well, I'll book in at 8 o'clock. Or, you know, just before, just after. And then try and strike up a conversation with them to get close enough, you know, to them to be able to do that stuff. To steal their cards, or, as you see in the movies, is like get close enough to take their ID off of them, and, you know, the people don't realise that the bloody name tag is missing. And stuff like that.
They've got a problem with the table and taking a photo of their ID.
Yep, and the same again. Social engineering, as you're saying, receptionists and stuff like that. Even not just as much as walking in plain clothes, but pretending to deliver food. We see so many Uber Eats and whoever else there are, I can't even think of them now. Yep, none of them wear uniforms and they deliver food. So if you've got a building with 300 staff members in it, you know, and you walk up and you go, oh yeah, I've got food for Robert. More than likely, there's got to be a Robert that works there, or something like that, and you'd be like, you know, oh, he's ordered some food, and he's like, I didn't order food. It's like, well, someone ordered it for you, but you're just getting close enough, social engineering, to get your foot in the door, because they might have, you know, a locked door at the front, but you got to swipe to get in. You could be standing there with a receptionist or a security guard with food going, like, can you let me in? Again, social engineering, I think... the Not So Civil Engineer did one of that, where he's like, you know, standing there with food in your hands up to the door, because, you know, I can't put it down to open the door to get in. And the security guard goes over and goes, oh, you know, wearing a similar uniform to what others wear. Walks over and opens the door and says, oh, here you go, let you in. Because you look like you're meant to be going through there, but you've got your hands full. So really, you've just social engineered them because they want to be helpful. They want to help you to get through. And stuff like that. But the hard thing is teaching people what to look out for. Because, I mean, if you say to them, you know, like, social engineering is bad, you know, this, you know, don't believe anything. People aren't going to trust certain people anymore. And it's not all social engineering is bad. It's just, these are things that look for what doesn't add up. You know, as we were saying before, Netflix with a funny thing above the E. You know, phishing emails that says, you know, and you have a look and it's got like a list of 1,000 people who the same email's been sent to. Because they're stupid enough to send them all in one big group rather than sending them one at a time like a normal business would. That's why I love that one. That's why I videoed it, screen recorded it, and sent it to you. Because it's just like 1,000. I've got a heap of people's emails now. That's
so what we do, guys? Phishing emails.
Yep. And that's the funny thing. Like, there's heaps of emails on there, heaps of email addresses of people they've sent it to. And that one. Now we've all got them. We can use it for phishing if we wanted to. It would be kind of interesting to do a good version of a DALP phishing email just to see who would respond.
Yeah.
It would be an interesting, you know, social engineering thing, but that will also come under, you know, is it morally right? Is it legal? Like back in the day, the old chain letters. Do you remember the old chain letters used to get sent around everywhere and you write your name on it and where you live and then send it off to someone else? That, you know, ball accounts were illegal. That's what my folks said anyway.
Yeah.
I think that was the earliest form of a phishing email, wasn't it?
It could be, yeah.
Like, you know, now we've got emails. Back then it was letters. Makes it actually kind of wonder, makes you think back, like, was phishing and stuff like that a big thing back in the day before emails?
It's one of those things that people still getting stuff in the mail. But it wasn't as easy to do back then because technology nowadays, people just check things as they go. We do a lot more online shopping now.
Yeah. I get a lot of from Amazon. Your Amazon Prime account, like, I don't have Amazon.
Yeah.
Alright, everyone, so thanks for watching the first podcast that we've actually recorded. And I keep forgetting I've got 2 cameras. Actually, I've got 3 cameras going here now, but only 2 on this screen. So yeah, thanks for checking out the first podcast. Got a lot of teething issues with how we discuss things. We're going to work on it. We've got plenty more podcasts to come. Lots of more interesting topics. And we're going to start bringing some other people in as well on the Discord server. Those who would like to actually join in on the podcast chats. If, you know, we state this is one that people can join. But anyway, thanks for sticking around and watching it all. Don't forget, hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you, and I don't have the other one plugged in, can stay up to date with all of our content that we're going to be bringing out. Really do appreciate you all staying around and everyone's support. Don't forget to share this channel. The more we grow, the more we can give back to you. And until next time, keep it bloody legal. Cheers, guys.